Hey guys, if you're looking for help with your Amazon business in terms of troubleshooting or strategy, visit sellersessions.com/consultancy or drop me a message to danny@sellersessions.com. Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today I bring back Anthony Lee. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. And today we're going to be talking about Walmart. Now, we already know that Amazon sellers, or a small proportion of Amazon sellers, have been selling on Walmart for a while. But we're going to do a two-parter here. We're going to discuss, if you haven't sold on Walmart, what stuff you can sell and the approach you should go down. And then, of course, Anthony's speciality, which is ranking. We're going to talk about ranking on Walmart. So let's kick things off. So you've been playing around with Walmart now for how long?
In a few months, actually probably almost a year.
Yeah.
On and off. It's been something that I've been entertaining for a while.
Yeah, obviously you're doing a number of experiments all the time in different, chatbots, Facebook ads, obviously ranking. You're ahead of the curve with Ivalin and people like that. So why was you like back and forth with it, for instance? Like you pick it up, you put it down. Is it because it's a nice bolt-on, but it's not like it's going to generate 40-50% of your revenue for Amazon, etc.?
Yeah, well, for starters, yes, it's because it's definitely not where the bulk of the traffic and sales come from.
Yeah.
Also, it's taken some time for the Walmart platform to be usable. Like when I first got introduced to Walmart, like a year and a half ago, they didn't have the streamlined system that they have with the .com. So I originally was in talks with them about essentially one first person selling to them. And that was the most convoluted and ridiculous system that I've ever halfway gone through, that I never followed through with it. But then a few months later, they were finally like, okay, well, we're actually opening up .com now. You should come on that. And so I did. But then within a month of setting everything up, they said, oh, by the way, we don't want you fulfilling with Amazon. So you need to find another fulfillment service. But they don't offer fulfillment. So I had to put it on pause for a little while until I actually came to a point in my business where it made sense to have a third-party logistics warehouse outside of Amazon. Now, I would definitely say that if you have the ability to set that up, you should do it sooner than later. Yeah. But at the time, I wasn't there yet.
Yeah. So basically, is it Walmart didn't want any association with Amazon branding for the packages being delivered is what the problem was?
Yep. And 2 years ago, it wasn't a big deal because multi-channel fulfillment was all in plain boxes. But then Amazon said, never mind, everything's going out in an Amazon box now. And so then all these other platforms were like, well, hold on a second, then we don't want you fulfilling for our platform. So it sounds like it was a whole bunch of silliness and bureaucracy, but it ended up leaving us third-party sellers without the path of least resistance, unfortunately.
Yeah. So give us some nuts and bolts. So what kind of products that are suitable? What is the criteria of the marketplace in terms of the people that shop there?
Well, from what I've experienced and witnessed, Walmart is very much so the budget platform, right? So people are going there for the deals. They're always looking for the rollbacks. And I don't know how much experience you have with Walmart, because I don't know.
None.
They're like
that's the first.
In the UK.
I mean, I've just been over, so we shopped in Walmart and places like that. But obviously, I know a bit about the US. I've been over 20, 30 times in total, like back in the days, the DJ and used to come over and tour and stuff, but he didn't spend much time at Walmart's. But I wasn't really aware that outside of Amazon, that Walmart was the kind of platform that people go there because it was cheap. Because I always assumed, stupidly, obviously, that people used to shop on Amazon because they thought it was the cheapest place to go as well.
Well, savvy online shoppers a long time ago realized that eBay was actually the budget option. So the system, the way it works, if you're comfortable with buying on eBay, is you go to Walmart, you find something, you go check and see if you can get it on eBay for cheaper first.
Right.
The problem with that is you're buying on an auction site from sellers all over the world. which is funny because you're buying from sellers all over the world on Amazon and on Walmart too. But the difference is Walmart and Amazon both kind of wrangle it all in to make it look like one platform.
Yeah.
So people assume that they're buying from that platform, whereas eBay, like you actually have to go out of your way to look at the seller rating to make sure you're not going to get, messed over. But so I think Walmart's moving in on eBay's territory there because people in the States, especially people where Walmart has a heavy presence, and from where I'm from, down south, that is definitely the case. They're finally getting used to buying online, and it is not uncommon at all for them to go to Amazon first and find what they're looking for and say, wow, that's expensive. And then they go to walmart.com, and if the thing is carried in stores, they can actually have it delivered to a physical location near them, which some people prefer. That's a really cool perk. But even if they get it delivered to them, a lot of times they're going to find it for cheaper. That's why it's growing so fast, and it is growing. I mean, like sheer numbers. Obviously, for an individual seller, there's very few people out there saying, 50% of my sales come from Walmart.com. But if you look at the sheer numbers, Walmart.com is definitely growing month over month, and they're hitting all of their sales figures and blowing through them because people are learning that it's a platform that's just as easy to use as Amazon's is.
Yeah, makes sense. And so what type of products would work well? Obviously I'm not asking you to give away your products, but give us some examples, will spatulas and bear claws and stuff like that with the resistance bands. Is that the kind of stuff? Because they are a bit of an everything store anyway, but I'm sure you have to meet a certain criteria.
So from my experience, it looks like all the same things are available on Walmart. The difference is because third-party sellers, I don't know if they're making it difficult for third-party sellers to jump on board, or if it's just that third-party sellers haven't really caught on yet.
Yeah.
But the difference is that it still heavily caters to larger brands. But all the same products, like when I was selling on Walmart, like literally until very recently, it was my first baby brand. I was selling out of the last bit of my baby carrier inventory, and I was selling right there alongside with the Infantino and Ergo babies, all the same stuff that you find on Amazon. I did notice that there's a heavy skew in the ranking towards cheaper products, though.
Yeah.
And I think that's because they're getting most of the traffic.
Yeah. Makes
most
sense.
of the sales. But yeah, all the same, bigger brand, lots of bigger brands and all the same products. It doesn't look like the kind of place where, at least not right now, where innovations thrive. Like, you can take a really popular Kickstarter product and go on Amazon and kill it sometimes.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to see as much of that on Walmart, because Walmart's like the way Amazon's set up, right? They do a lot to kind of showcase brands whenever they see something popular. Walmart's still very, very much old school. Like all the banners and all of the ads are for large brands. And I think they're purposefully setting themselves up that way. I think they want to cater more towards the larger brands, but that doesn't mean there isn't an opportunity for small sellers.
Yeah.
You just have to be aware that you're going to sell your product at a lower price. If you have a lower price point product, it might be good to experiment with. If you don't, just be aware of the fact that you might have to lower your price. And if you do that, you are setting an image and expectation that your product is of a lower value than you had probably originally wanted to put it out there for, which is one of the downsides to selling on Walmart.com. So as long as you're aware of all of that and it makes sense, then it is another stream.
Makes sense. So walk me through the setup process. From the beginning of signing up, kind of paperwork you need in place, and then we can talk about international sellers after on that side as well.
Yeah. Well, from what I remember, setting it up was very similar to Amazon. Like you go and you tell them that you want to be a part of it. I know for a while they were gating it. So I don't know if they've opened it up to the public, to everybody. I know a few people had to submit several requests. And then I know a couple of people that just went right on there and signed up. But, they ask for all the usual information. They want your business entity information. They want bank information. They utilize third parties a lot. So they don't have like an infrastructure where they integrate with your bank like Amazon does. They actually use Payoneer.
Yeah.
So but they'll set it up for you, right? So when you set up your business entity through Walmart, then they set up a Payoneer account for your business for you. You do have to go and sign the paperwork again and then hit submit. But at that point, it's linked, and all your payments will actually come through and be deposited every 2 weeks into Payoneer as you make those sales. They automatically take their fee, which I believe is like 12 to 15%. So they have like a very similar commission structure. The difference is they're not going to be charging pick and pack because they're not doing the fulfillment, which is the biggest thing.
So the interesting thing, you just say like with Payoneer, what my question would be is that obviously I don't sell on the platform. I use Currencies Direct and I use World First. I don't have a Payoneer account, and that's for my Amazon business, and the other one for Databril, for the agency for international clients. What would be interesting to know there is that what percentage of Payoneer take, because I think Amazon, when you're doing international transfers, they just slot off 4% just off the top.
Yeah.
And most people, depending on where you're at, you'd negotiate. Like some people that are not doing much in terms of sales might go from 1%, like 2% down to 1.5 to 1%, down to 1.6, and then multi-million sellers are doing 0.3 of a percentage. It'd be interesting to know what Payoneer, whether there's a set, you don't get to negotiate your position there and what their fee is. They might just take straight 1.5 off the top. I don't know, but that could be that could be a different effect on international sellers, especially if they're shipping overseas.
Well, something that international sellers that are considering this should be aware of is I would expect there to be some turbulence and it not to be very easy. Walmart does not appear to be interested in that expansion yet.
Right. Got it.
They're still very behind the time. Like if you go and set up an account, you'll see it's super clunky. It's nowhere near as user friendly. Step by step. I know we all complain about Seller Central and about Amazon, but man, their platform is light years ahead when it comes to this kind of stuff. And it's not until you get into a new system that you realize, man, this is just not as user friendly. Like if you want to do a discount, they don't have promo codes, for example. The only way you can actually do a deal is a discount price that's available to everybody. And if you want to submit it, you have to actually submit a spreadsheet. Like you don't just go in and change it. You have to submit a spreadsheet. And then if you want it to be over, yes, you have to upload another flat file in order to end it if it's premature, if it's not before the allotted date. So it's like those present challenges. And I think the reason why a lot of sellers aren't on there that even have been given the opportunity to be is because of that. They just keep hitting roadblocks. Walmart doesn't appear to be interested in making it very easy for you.
Yeah.
But if you're determined to have multi-channels, like multiple channels, and I think it is important at some point for a brand to grow to the point where they are available on multiple channels, and you can roll with the punches, or you can pay somebody to handle that crap for you. Like I said, it is another stream. I mean, some of the biggest Amazon brands, I've seen them. They're on Walmart, and they're like they started on Amazon. So, and they're on Walmart.com now, which means they paid somebody to deal with the bull crap and get them on there. So they can get, extra 10%, extra 20%. I mean, some of the bigger guys I've heard are doing like 30% on Walmart. Like, could you imagine like an extra 30% on top of what you're making right now on Amazon? That's not a small chunk for big sellers. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so after those steps, so you do the sign up process, what's the structure in terms of setting up your listings and your offers and stuff like that?
Okay. It's very similar. You have a seller center. That's what Walmart calls it, seller center. And you go into the seller center and you add a product. Do not fret. There will come multiple times when you're like Googling how to do stuff because it's not very user friendly. But at least the interface is clean. Like it's not like, it doesn't look like Yahoo 1995 or anything. You won't have trouble finding things. You just have to like find where Walmart hid the rule that says this is the first step, this is the second step. But once you figure that out, you put a listing up. The information is actually very similar. Listings are very similar to Amazon's. You have a title. You don't have title bullet description. You have title and description, but the description is a full WYSIWYG, which means you can do, HTML styling, not major. Like you're talking bullet points, basically. That's about it. But you can separate everything inside of that area to look like bullets and description. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes it ends up on the other end, just one big blob of paragraph, which has happened to me several times, and that's a pain. But
what about support?
Play with it long
we
enough.
Always moan about seller support over on Amazon. What's their support mechanism like?
So you submit a support ticket. It's definitely not as simple. Like there's not a big glaring place on your dashboard where you click it and contact us for help. There's no phone number. Like I know at one point you used to be able to just call Amazon, and there's no chat function. It's you click and you create a support ticket. They'll probably take 2 days to get back to you. Hopefully you won't have a major problem. I strongly suggest figuring out any technical issues. Don't ask them. So, a little, but they're there for little things. Like if, I had an issue, for example, so they do this silly thing with price parity where basically if they find your product on another platform for less, they will disable your listing until you fix the price.
Right.
And the problem is whatever scraping mechanism they use to go out and find the products, like it only happens every so often, which means if they found a cheaper product and then they went out of stock and then your product is now the cheapest again, until they go out and scrape the landscape again, your product will remain suppressed. And then you have to open up a ticket, and which I did more than once. And then, of course, you get told it's fixed, and then it's not really fixed. And so a lot of the similar headaches, because I'm sure all of us have gone through that with seller support too. But, don't expect it to be a breath of fresh air, basically.
So we touched on it, but do you want to just break out the fees and compare them to obviously the fees we get on Amazon? What's your take on the fees there? Are they fair? Is it straightforward? Do they have problems with accounting?
No, it appears to be straightforward. It looks like most categories are similar to Amazon's commission structure, 15%.
Yeah.
The difference is you're not going to have a pick and pack fee or handling fees because they're not fulfilling any of it. So where the trouble comes in is, and this is a big one, this is probably the number one biggest obstacle for anybody trying to sell in Walmart. You have to have another logistics company. You have to have another, warehouse distribution fulfillment company to handle your orders. Now, I do think it's wise to set that up, but one of the biggest challenges for people that are trying to do that, it isn't just finding fair pricing, because there's a lot of guys out there that offer fair pricing, but on top of their fair pricing, they want to charge you like $300 a month, which just doesn't make sense for somebody only doing like maybe a few grand a month in sales, right? So you have to be at a certain level. Now, there are other companies that don't do that, and they have good rates. The problem is then it really comes down to who they're using as their courier and how much they're charging, how much the courier is charging, and whether they're charging them and using their account or whether they pass it directly to you and you're directly paying like USPS or whatever. Basically what I'm saying is shipping can get expensive, and this is where we all take it totally for granted on Amazon. We do not realize how good we have it when it comes to that. To give you an example, I had, I was liquidating this product on Walmart. I was making good sales, but I wanted to push the envelope a little and make even more sales, so I dropped the price as much as I could. And I dropped these products down to like $15, which there were several products at that price competing. But still, I was able to grab a big chunk of the market share. The problem was, I do that. Walmart took their fee, so I ended up with, I think, like 12 and some change. However, on top of my warehouse fees for my logistics company I was paying to fulfill these products, they were passing it wasn't a straight fee directly from USPS. They were passing whatever it cost the postal service charged directly to me. And while a lot of them were only $4 and $5, there were several that were as much as $10 and $12, which means there were a lot of sales I was making absolutely $0 on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something you have to watch out for too. The fulfillment, how much you're actually going to be charged for, fulfilling. And it sucks that there isn't another like third party, like a generic third party service out there, at least that I know of. If you know of one, if anybody knows of one that I'm unaware of, please let me know. But that's as powerful as Amazon that can pass on those savings. That would be great. Anyway, so that's the biggest obstacle, and that's also going to be your biggest expense usually, is that shipping. Cool. But if you have a product you can get away with charging more for, that people on Walmart will actually buy, and and get past that, like I said, it's a whole other avenue there.
Yeah. So from top down, so as we wrap, we're looking quite straightforward of setting up similar to Amazon, but you'd have to use a Payoneer account. So you need to explore that a little bit further. Not probably fit for purpose for international sellers yet, but good for US domestic sellers. You're looking at fees of 15% like Amazon, but there's no pick and pack because you need third parties. So you need to have your 3PL in place and make sure these numbers work. However, you've got to take into consideration that the people that purchasing on Walmart are price sensitive, maybe more so than Amazon. The support mechanism isn't great. It's a bit fumbly, and the same as the setup on the back end. I pretty much covered it. That's pretty much the key points to it, isn't it? It
really is.
Cool. So we'll cover the ranking side in part 2, which I think people will be much more interested in to see if they can put these two together.
You can get all of that. That was like the negative part, right? If you can get past all that, the positive part is.
We'll hit them with a shit stick, and then we'll give them the good stuff after.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So we'll cover this in part 2. Just quickly, how can people reach you?
Find me on Facebook, the unofficial Anthony Lee page. You can hit me up on Messenger there. That's where I push everybody. Cool. Unofficial Anthony Lee page and Facebook Messenger, the best way to find me.
Excellent. Guys, thanks for joining us. Anthony, thank you for joining us. If this is your first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys again soon. Take care.